Thank you for downloading this podcast in support of the Oxford Advanced Management and Leadership Programme here at Saïd Business School, University of Oxford. During this podcast, alumni of the programme returned to Oxford to discuss how the experience had changed their professional and personal lives. Led by Professor Sue Dobson, Rhodes Trust Professor in Organisational Behaviour, the group discussed their experiences. We hope you enjoy the session.
Okay, so we had those ideas made a difference to us in terms of how we practice leadership, but then the test is, what do we do? So maybe we can move on to thinking a bit about that and hear your stories about, having digested those ideas and thoughts. How did you use them? How did you harness them? But what impact do you think you really have made in your practice? I think that would be very helpful as well. So should we start moving on that to the stories about what you did on that?
Sure, I'll start.
Yeah,
please. Sort of into this thought.
Please do that.
When we were here in 2014, I shared with folks that one of the things that I was looking at is secession in my business, and the whole idea of door to door, Hebrew for generation to generation. How we were going to move from a leadership that had been in place for 25, 26 years to another group of folks. And that I wasn't as confident as I think I should have been, here comes the ego, you ready for it? That things were going to turn out the way that I would want them to. And one of the things that I learned around that was this whole idea that there's no perfect strategy. And so what I began, as a matter of fact, part of my plans that I wrote up were to really begin to have some focused coaching sessions with my senior management. And as a result of that, and really fairly quickly, these young, smart kids pretty much picked it up. And a young lady that had been with me for 15 years as a chief financial officer really kind of caught the rabbit, And I made a decision late in the year to promote her to the role of president. I had been the president and CEO for just before dirt was invented. We're not done with that transition, but when she moved into that role the first of the year, she's really done well. And what I tried to instill in her is that don't let your organizational problems fester. Deal with them right away. If you don't know, bring it to me and we'll talk through it. And I see now things in the way that she is leading the corporation that have a touch of Oxford in them. Okay? And that is the whole idea of thinking through, asking her direct reports what they would do and how they would handle it. And so it's very satisfying to me. And I attribute that in good part to the people around this table, because they really helped me to clarify my thinking as we began to move into that little stage of transition. And so that's a major piece, I think, of what has happened as a direct result of this.
So that's wonderful that you that coaching approach has really made you can see that working and
it's worked very well for me in a lot of venues. I'm on a number of national boards, and it's interesting what you can do even in a public discussion of issues. When you begin to ask people how, my favorite phrase is, I'm interested in knowing how you think on this. Okay? And it would be surprised how that opens people up.
The invitation to give.
Exactly. And it's been very useful.
So you've got more time now, have you?
I'm just simply doing what I do best, and these guys have heard this. But what I'm really, really good at is wandering around aimlessly.
I saw that this morning. I was trying to get you here.
I'm really good. It's I think it's genetic. But the reality for me, it's about relationships.
Yeah.
It's about connecting with people, that whole idea of a consummate connector. And that does not mean just within the business. It means wherever. And I find it to be very useful. My father, who was a sage, and whose wisdom was pretty much wasted on his son, used to tell me that none of us are as smart as all of us. So you need to talk to everyone. And that doesn't mean all the smart people or all the important people. That means the lady that serves your food and cleans your dishes, and you never know where wisdom will come.
That's wonderful.
Very profound observations, James. Thinking and talking through. So it's like laying down the fundamental architecture of how the business is going, or the organization is going to create itself. And anything done at that level really sticks. The ideas which come out can, be very contextual, it could be time specific, but this fundamental architecture sticks. One question, what kind of atmosphere do you create for thinking and talking through? Is it a very formal setting? What kind of
I don't find that the formal settings work for me very well at all. I know that nobody here has actually noticed this, but I have a tendency to talk and run on quite a bit. I don't really see that, but my staff seems to. And so if in a formal setting for me is that I'm scripted. Okay, if I'm in a formal setting, I have time, I have something that I'm supposed to say, so I'm scripted. And so I don't do that. I do it when I have to, but what works for me and what feels better for me and what I get the best results from is an informal relationship. I'll give you an example. My office has no desk. The desk is over in the corner against the wall. And it looks like a living room. It's got a sitting area and a bigger sitting area. I have a tea station. But when people come to talk with me, we sit in a comfortable chair. We actually usually begin the discussion, no matter what the level of tension or stress might be, in sort of a social part. But it is usually starts socially and then begins to move into it. And the environment really starts with that question. How do you think about this? I'm interested in hearing that. And then move into sort of a recapitulation of what they're saying to me, and then you change that into a question based upon that, and just getting them to continue that line of thinking that they have. And most of the time, almost all of the time, any issues that they have, they actually resolve themselves because they already know those answers.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, Fuzz, you and I have talked about this before. That's kind of what you find too.
Yes, exactly. See, in our environment, the culture it's very difficult to get particularly subordinates, to express themselves openly and freely. And even if in a social gathering, as you've mentioned, in one of our companies on the last Friday of every month, we have a talk session. It's a social session. We've been encouraging the staff to do just what you're saying. And I think a good approach, which I want to take back, and perhaps JR, is to ask them, now, what do you think about this? And that kind of social thing has opened people up, and it's led us to be able to identify some of the promising leaders in our business.
And Neil, do you see that it builds trust?
Trust and ownership.
That's good.
And sharing of the common goal, so to speak. So it's worked well. If you do it in a formal environment, it's just
yeah. So creating that context for the conversation.
Yeah, that's we usually use the more formal environments, even those kind of for cheerleading sessions.
yeah.
You know, I'm trying to inculcate that kind of idea to. I only have one direct report, and to her, so that she and it's I used to call it the senior management team, which I think is very good. She calls it the breakfast club. Which has its, which is okay, which is okay, and within that, I get invited, but my invitation is usually around keep the momentum, help us keep the momentum, and so what you do.
Most of the leaders to be successful have to be the best cheerleaders.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's the art.
All the time.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't feel it.
But you still have to do it.
In your kishkis, as they say.
Yeah. But you still keep doing it.
But you do it anyway.
Yeah.
One or two things I've been working on with the team since last year. The first one's a personal one that bridges to the team, and that is that I felt that leading up to the 3 weeks last year, I was managing my time reasonably well as a leader, but not necessarily managing my energy levels particularly well. So how's that manifest itself? Well, sometimes not giving perhaps 100% attention to a one-on-one, or 100% attention to a team discussion. Only by degrees, but we all have that internal conversation, don't we? And I thought, no, I just need to spend more time thinking about how to manage energy so that I'm fresh and present for all, whoever they all happen to be at any particular time. And what's helped that journey is connecting managing energy to looking to influence with and through my team through and via scale. So how can you, by committing your time well, deliver some scale benefits that to the eye look as if they're being delivered beyond Everard's, but actually they're fueling Everard's and fueling the organisations we're connecting with. And it's been, and we're still on that journey, but it's been a very interesting journey, because I think sometimes if an organisation sets a strategy, by its nature, it's that company's strategy, and again it becomes quite tight, and everybody's chasing that strategy rather than going out and exploring and saying, how can you deliver scale? The other theme I've been working on, because I left the 3 weeks thinking, blimey, how now do I take all these discussions and interactions and insights into the working environment. And of course, my team were waiting. It was, he's been on the course.
He's going to come back and change.
Let us have it.
You've been on vacation.
Yeah. So I thought, well, now I'll play it. So effectively, I've run about 3 or 4 sessions now, facilitating in some of these themes with the team. Rather than tell, rather than here's a model, just facilitating it in carefully, so that they then become part of the narrative, rather than a transaction of me coming back saying, here you go.
Okay, this is what you need to do.
And then that fits the final piece really, which is it's a bit scary, but it's understanding that actually start with storytelling, lots and lots of storytelling, and invite people to share their stories, because people love sharing stories, and let the stories inform the strategy rather than letting the strategy lead, which then makes some stories applicable, but sadly for some individuals it blocks other stories out, which could be so informative. So we've been working on that, and it's continuing, but those are the kind of things we've been doing.
That's really interesting.
Echoing what Stephen said, I think last night we were joking to one of the 2015 participants, Ryan Rienberger.
Yeah, Namibia.
Yeah, because we were asking him how's it been so far, and he was saying he's still on his journey of discovery, and then we were joking saying that at the end of the 3 weeks, you'll see the light at the end of the tunnel. We're completely changed. I'm not scared of chickens anymore. Everything's fine. But I think the main tools that we harnessed here, as for me in particular, is that, just like JR said, no strategy is perfect. And at the end of the 3 weeks, I thought that I had the answers already, but the good thing about what we learned here is that the answers are continuous, and you have to rediscover yourself with the tools that you've learned along the way. I mean, my strategy at the end of the 3 weeks was that I had to move my drum set out of my room and reevaluate my general manager's EVP. That was my solution. But instead, I went back and I reflected a lot more. I got a bigger drum set.
You got a bigger drum set,
as we've seen.
Yes, and I ended up adding one more general manager to the team, recruited my siblings into the company, and generally my new strategy was to discover and harness more leadership at different levels within the organization, rather than just identify these are the leaders and this is what they should do.
Deep
So yes, the coaching thing helped because it was dissected at all levels, and the whole organization had to identify the leadership within their groups. And just like Stephen said, they had their stories to tell, and that sort of also drove the strategy forward in the past 12 months.
So coaching feeds into the strategy.
Yes.
Okay. When I got back, my team, the heads of departments, were like, oh, come on. And so I took them away off-site for a 2-day weekend, very informal, and went through what we learnt in 3 weeks, picking up on the main points over 2 days. But what I learnt was that, and I think somebody said, you're not perfect, just delegate and accept that they're going to get it 90% right, and just work on the other 10% yourself. And they've excelled. We had a record year last year, and this year we're up 40% last year. That's through learning. Yes, and just empowering them, saying, just even little things like changing the design of a carton that's been there for 30 years. One of the guys came up and said, well, if we did it this way, and just little things all add up. So, in fact, so much so that 3 weeks ago, the company that we bought Dulux from, the Dulux Group, came back asking to buy it back.
Oh, really?
So they could see, they've seen in the 8 years that we've had it, just how we've transformed it, but particularly in the last 12 months.
Wow.
And do you get a sort of cause-effect matrix in your mind that post to AMLP, this is what we did, and that has resulted into this?
Yes.
You get it.
Yep, I get it. And I refer to my notes all the time.
Yeah.
Probably once a week.
Yeah.
That's
Look
interesting.
at my notes.
And you're telling about how you sort of inculcated this to your staff. You know what I did? I gave them my blue book. And my entire EVP read through the blue book.
Really?
Yes. And that, you would be surprised how many discussions that started. Now, I went through and highlighted stuff too, because some dumb, but not plumb dumb, okay? And that, it really was a good starter instead of having him and trying to
Tell
teach them.
Yes, a number of you have created these spaces for conversation, yeah, and reflection, and I think that's been very, very impressive. Yeah, I know you wanted to come in.
Okay, since leaving the program last year, I got a very big promotion.
Oh.
That is a problem.
That's what happens when you come back.
A very big one, a very, very, very
Congratulations.
big promotion. Now, this promotion sees me managing people across different geographies and also across different sectors. Some of the sectors I do not have any competence in, but basically what I'm supposed to do is provide leadership. Now, as mentioned, I have learned to lead from behind. And in leading from behind, I believe in what I call the wisdom of the tribe. So basically, I sit around the table and they come to me with their challenges, because I don't believe in problems. Problems is a negative word. I like to believe in we all have challenges, not problems. I think challenge is a more positive way to put across a problem, without getting beclouded with the enormity of it. So they come to me with their challenges, we discuss, and again I throw it back to them like, what can we do, or what would you do if you were me? And like Jared said, they have the answers, they're just looking for revalidation. And that is the psychology I use basically to resolve all the challenges in the day-to-day business I have with my team. Again, I need to re-emphasize, I'm managing people across different geographies. Some people I see maybe once in 3 months, once in 6 months, across different sectors in which I have no competence in, but somehow we've made it work. My team I've been asked to give several presentations on how I've been able to connect the dots in terms of form strategic linkages between our clientele bases. So what I've done is, I have different sectors, but I've managed to make each client discuss or talk with the other client and do business with the other clients, all through me, a bank sitting in the middle. So my clients are talking to one another across sectors, but they're doing all those discussions and conversations through me. So the leadership skills, or should I say the experience of the program, has really, really helped me in managing, the task. And I'll tell you, everyone keeps saying, oh, he's gone to Oxford, he has all the answers. He has all the answers. And, my CEO, welcomed me back with a, big applause and at the board meeting and said, yeah, we have an Oxford alumni with us and all of that.
You could sort everything out.
Yeah, because he has all the answers and everything. But it's been a very, very rewarding time the last 1 year, and challenging, yes, but I think the skill set I built from this program, the connections, the network, and the learnings have really, really helped me in navigating through the daily challenges I face on my job.
Congratulations.
I think these re-evaluation sessions will help your team to increase their self-confidence, because they're here while they're discussing those subjects, they hear, I'm right, I thought right. So at the next stage, it will help them to take a decision by themselves very easy. So I think it's very useful to do that.
Good observation.
So I learned from our class here, we started practicing, which was very tough, how to create mood elevators. And I watched Lalit very carefully. He used to make at times very stupid statement. And he will never say, what the heck is that? You're stupid.
Yeah.
He would just say, oh, what you mean to say this? And we thought more.
That's a gift, isn't it? It's a gift of reframing.
So then you're on track, you're thinking harder. But we never got rejected. So, but believe me, that's the toughest part. I work, as I said, I work in different geographies. I make absolutely sure, even when I'm on a conference call, we are in a very difficult situation. We are running behind schedule, going to blast off somebody. We may blast off. That why we are not on schedule, but I make sure when I finish, I've given them a mood elevator, picked up something, so I put them up there. So when the call is over, a meeting is over, they're energized. The idea is, am I leaving them exhausted with the discussion? Because everybody's working hard for their standards. It could be different standards for different people. What is work, what is hard work? For some people, it's very hard work. For others, that's a normal day life. And if you ask an investment banker, for him, working 20 hours a day is okay. Having a conference call at 4 in the morning is fine. For some people, 4. So, since you have to work with different people, so those mood elevators I've seen, and they're helpful to you also. I at times superimpose on myself. It's a brilliant day, although you're stressed out.
JR, can I ask you a question? You're newly promoted or elevated staff member. Did you send her on this course? Did you see value?
Oh, that was a little bit prescriptive, wasn't it?
Yes, we like
yes,
that.
we will encourage her. And really, in our discussions on it, her interest is being percolated. And I expect that she'll be here too.
I love this idea of mood elevators, where you reframe conversations and give people confidence to do something. I think it's a very good.
This is not the age where people are looking for a solution from you. They have so much knowledge and there's so many ideas and solutions. This is the age to bring them to a level of cognitive reality where we can select amongst the best of the best.
Yeah.
You know, I've done some self-introspection also. When do I perform the best?
Yeah, it's a good question.
It's a natural tendency. I have a problem. I work better when I am under pressure. Yeah, I need extreme pressures. Because then I went through what I have been doing all my life. Most of the companies have used me from something into a turnaround guy. It was always worst businesses I got to fix. Worst geographies to go and set up plants. So you were used to pressures. So if there was no pressure, you thought I'm not needed.
I also had a good experience later on, January and February, where I worked with a manager in education industry in Rotterdam. I never worked in this industry, so and he also had some issues with his team members. So there, for the first time, I came in as an independent, and in a very short time, you have to build trust with the management team and make a contribution. So it was very good that I know how to do my role. But every time you're there, you're on the you have to act again. So it was a very good experience to really be in a new environment and doing my thing. So in terms of contribution, I'm very happy in this process. But I'm in the process. I'm not sure if this kind of processes ever end, but I'm certainly in the process. So that was a takeaway from building on the program.
Really insightful. Thank you. Anybody else want to carry the conversation on about?
I think I sort of got back after the 3 weeks here and kind of looked around, had conversations with members of my team and realised they'd done a pretty good job at managing without me. And
It's stressing.
It's sort of told a bit of a story in itself, and I think it kind of allowed me kind of the opportunity to say, actually, here's an opportunity to work slightly differently and to give my team more freedom and to free up some of my own time to focus on some different things and the different challenges in our business. And it sort of then fitted with kind of this view of having been in a period of fighting fires in a way for a number of years, to actually extend my time horizon and think 3 to 5, 5 to 10 years, which is something we've never really done in our business. And it's actually then highlighted kind of some more serious concerns. Actually, we haven't got that skill set within our business, and it's something we need to learn and something we need to think differently about, and kind of acknowledging that is a gap in our organisation and how we can supplement that and support that. And then it's also given me time to look beyond my role and to get involved in some different things, and linking back to that, our role in society. So the kind of the power of empowerment is that it has allowed me to go and do some hugely different things, and has made me feel much freer in kind of my role and what I do.
So you feel you've got more freedom and choice to really begin to pick on things.
It's hard work. I think it's easy to say empower people, but because it's a letting go.
Yes, and that's the hard.
Two, it's kind of providing that environment in which they can succeed, creating those conditions for them to be really successful. And so it's working on the bits that matter, such as identifying where we're trying to go, what we're trying to achieve, linking that to kind of business ambition, but then giving that freedom to do it and to deliver. And I guess I've come from a strong execution background, and this shift of being
shift in execution
into just kind of supporting. I really kind of believe in this, creating these conditions for other people to thrive.
I wonder how does your environment react? Because you can change your behaviour, but they're also part of the game.
Yeah, that's a good question.
It really comes to the point that if you've got good people around you, they will thrive. They thrive on more opportunity and more responsibility and more accountability. And I've just seen people grow. People just respond so positively. It's identified a few performers who you kind of then have to deal with performance issues, because some people don't want that. But on the whole, I've just seen this real growth in the people around.
So, Joe, last night James was leading us to understand the power of upward delegation, and then we were connecting various dots. For example, we use terms like having them to set a very high level of achievements, nurturing, harnessing. So, in terms of your model of empowerment, what are the sequences? Are these similar sequences, or there is another kind of a sequence working there?
I think it started with some sort of co-creation of what is it that we're trying to achieve, and I've found that co-creation, that one, I definitely don't have the answers, and I don't have the creativity to come up with that, but the people around me do. And I also recognise I'm a good sponge, so I can take lots of information in and lots of inputs, and then squeeze something that comes out of it which has assimilated kind of all those inputs. And so recognising I'm good at that, again, is using people to fill my sponge.
This is very powerful, because often when we talk of empowerment, it could also mean detachment. You're not detached, you're at the core of it. What has changed is the set of contributions Instead of putting them in the pot, you're getting others to put it in the pot, and then you squeeze the best. So it's not a detachment model.
And the bit that I've sort of reflected on this weekend is I just need to slow down a bit as well, because coming from an execution mode, I want to do everything so quickly and I want to get things done, and there's so much to do, but actually slowing down and having more conversations and reflections, it's really important. And I know that I always want to come on.
That's most difficult for execution guys.
Yeah.
Just slow down. Because I come from operational background, very difficult mentally.
And I can see the answer, but well, that's my answer.
Yes, it may not be the
But
answer
it may
that
not be the
sticks.
right.
It won't be one that
May not be right.
It's interesting how many of you have changed the context, isn't it? I think that's really interesting, isn't it?
The most amazing thing is, nobody has said that I change my strategy from this to this.
No, it's about
Everybody is working at the fundamental architectural
which
aspects of running the enterprise,
Absolutely.
rather than messing around with strategic choices and
it's
balancing
really
the
fundamental
statements.
stuff, which is.
But that comes with it.
That comes with it.
And
Yeah.
so, yes, that's not the thing that I talked about, but it's allowed those things to change and adapt and emerge. And I guess it's the point that our strategies aren't fixed and our business directions aren't fixed, but by changing that context, it allows
Content comes.
a different outcomes and different, and I wouldn't ascribe to my time at Oxford, but if you look back, it says that has clearly had an impact.
That's what you see is it's very important to keep things simple and mostly we complicate. Especially, I'll tell you, with my kind of background, I deal with a lot of engineers. We are so crazy, we'll pick up a binomial equation, make it polynomial, then solve it. Then why, I don't know. But we first complicate it, then we feel good, we solve it.
Very good.
My wife said the other day, she said, I heard something which made me smile. The opposite of complexity is simplicity.
Yeah. And I've seen it, that works because people want simplicity.
Yeah.
Yes,
And I think as leaders, our role is to how to make it appear simple, even if it is not.
Yeah, I think, again, something I practice and something I know is very important for leadership is basically people don't care how much you know. You have to show them that you care about them as well. They have to be sure that, okay, you beyond the job, you're interested in them. And it's, I come from Africa where we're very, very big on family and emotions, so you have to also be in touch with that other side if you want to get the cooperation on the job. So basically you have to, how's your family, are you okay, are you eating well, is everyone all right, and all of that. Every now and then you try to reach out to them on the personal level, not on the work level, so that's something that helps me, a lot. And I get, I had one of my team members tell me the other day that, wow, you care about me so much, and it makes me happy. Every time I see you, I already have an answer when you're going. I know you're going to ask me, how are you? How are the kids? How are the, it just made her feel, personal, made her feel happy. So, so such a person, you've already won the psychological war with that person. When you want something done, the person is very eager, to deliver. And,
I agree with you. After I finished the program, I thought that I should provide coaching to all my team members. And my team consists of junior project managers, senior project managers, project directors. And they are all reports to me. But at the first time, it starts, very good. But I realized that in reality, I do not have enough time to coach all of them. That's my reality.
It takes a long time.
And I do not have the office facility like JR. So I decided to find good matches, mentors for my team members. From my organization and from my network outside the organization, different professionals. So I matched them and they start providing mentorship, coaching sessions with my team members. and I have one-to-ones or feedback sessions, with both sides, and it helps a lot.
And the yield is coming. You can see the yield. People's conversations are changing.
Exactly.
That's good. Well done. It's really important to be realistic about what you can do and when you need help. Yeah.
And the point is, I think my team members realize that I think about them, I care them. I mean, I spend time to find good people so that they can, have a good, coaching session, etc. Although I cannot spend my time, so it helped a lot.
My major takeaway was it was somehow based on the stories of private-public partnerships and the ETL case, etc. So I'm heading a rather tiny company, but what I realized is it's not just the empowering of the team, but you can also engage external entities. We were presently working on a digital currency thing, and we don't neither have the research nor we have the resources. So, and based on the Sunil Mittal story, he was just running out and asking, can you do this for me? We were addressing University of Nicosia, University of Athens. We were talking with Bhatia as well. And so we found open doors because there's kind of need for ideas and for, some disruptive approaches, which you hardly find within huge organizations. And so it brought a lot of self-confidence because especially if you, like in my history, working in huge environments before moving into small ones, you always have the impression that the small ones are, the tail shall not wag the dog. But this is a very proper approach, and so it's meanwhile much more about connecting the dots also within the organization. So these indirect approaches and using multipliers to reach your own target, especially in our environment, highly important. I think myself and also the organization got the self-confidence. I'm just knocking the doors and saying, okay, this is us, so we have an idea. What do you think about it? And I think it was a very important takeaway that it's not a question of size or it's not also a matter of structure. It's much about the concept and if people believe the guys who shall do it, if they're capable to. And this was one of my major takeaways. It's a lot of self-confidence and these things.
Yeah, I've learned to delegate a lot, from my tenants. So, whereas prior to attending it, if a subordinate came up and said, what should we do about this? And I would come up with a solution. Whereas now, I say, well, what do you want to do about it?
What do you think?
What do you and your team feel should be done about it?
So wonderful reflections, I think. Wonderful reflections.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the content of the session. If you would like to learn more about the programme, we would encourage you to visit the Said Business School website and navigate to the Advanced Management and Leadership section, where all of your questions can be answered. Alternatively, please feel free to contact us directly using the details on the website. Thank you again, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.